Hey everyone, Iron Leprechaun coming at you. Got another video kind of wrapped around the whole idea of the 12 steps. Still on step 2, and I hope you can hear me over the wind. It's a pretty windy day here in Wyoming, and hell, I can hear it. Hopefully you can hear me clearly over it, and yeah, so hope you're all having a good start to your weekend. And what I want to talk to you about today is something that's pretty integral in it's important as all hell in 12-step recovery. It's actually obvious when I start talking about it. It's obvious how important it is in everyday life, but it's something it's very fragile, which makes it all the more valuable. And I'm talking about trust. Okay, now I was actually at a 12-step meeting earlier, during the opening readings and the meditation, it had to do with that, and so that was the topic. And it talked about, trusting other people in the 12-step recovery program fellowship, and trusting in a higher power and all those things. And that's kind of the theme of this month, is coming to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Now, I got to tell you, trust, especially for a recovering addict, is not easy, especially right out of the gate. And that isn't exclusive to people that have a drug and alcohol history. I mean, it's everybody. Anybody who's placed their trust in somebody or something and had it broken knows what I'm talking about. So I'm obviously going to come to you from a recovering drug addict's perspective. Now, and in the reading, the example they gave was, we walk into the groups, we walk into the meetings, and it's hard to trust that this thing works. It's hard to trust another person, i.e. a sponsor or whatever, and it goes on and gives an example of, how quickly were we willing to trust our dealer when we handed them money to come back with whatever we wanted, but yet we balk, we stumble, we stutter at trusting another person. What it comes down to for me, and I've seen this with other people, is evidence that somebody or something can be trusted. Okay, which is logical. Okay, it's kind of like when somebody places bets on something. The gambling world. Typically, somebody wants to investigate and look into, is this a good bet? Is there a decent chance I'm going to win? They need to see evidence before they wager something. Okay, I come from a history of having trust being broken. Now, I would like some evidence that I can trust somebody or something again. The problem there lies in, when it comes to entering into this place of trust, is sometimes we don't have evidence. Okay, we don't have time to investigate, or because things might be dire. We need to take action now, or we need to do what's called taking a leap of faith. I know you heard that before. So, in the example of a sponsor, excuse me, I'm going to approach somebody and say, hey, these 12 steps, y'all keep talking about how this works. This is going to change my way of life and make it, different, which people say different. Well, I say better. People are afraid to say it's going to make your life better. Well, I'm here to tell you, if you apply these 12 steps and the principles behind them in your life, it's going to get better. Okay? Let's not mince words and sugarcoat it. It gets better. Everybody I've seen, including myself, that does it honestly and rigorously, it gets better. Just like anything. So, I approach this guy and be like, hey, I want you to walk me through these 12 steps. Well, I don't really know this guy. Maybe I've gone to a few meetings. Hell, maybe I've gone to meetings for a couple months. In my case, it took me 2 months of going to 12-step meetings to ask somebody, okay? But even then, if I have, which I did, have a past that's littered with people breaking my trust, 2 months ain't really enough, especially if I'm scarred, if I'm now emotional because I don't have the drugs and alcohol to cover up my emotions. I'm even more fearful okay, of the product of broken trust. So it can be a rough thing, but I had to take a leap of faith. And this is what it comes down to, okay? Yes, all of my lack of trust, whether it's in God, whether it's in people, it all comes from fear, okay? Fear of being hurt again. I'm not trying to illegitimize your fears. Fears are real. You know, whether they're fancied or real, don't matter. We do feel them, so they do impact our lives. But at some point, what we're doing or not doing, it becomes more painful than taking that leap of faith. And when we get to that point, it's time to jump. It's time to trust. It's time to give it a go. This permeates all avenues of life, not just 12-step sponsors. This goes with taking that job, moving, which I've done recently. Yeah, I moved to a state I didn't know anybody. I had a big leap of faith that my higher power was going to walk me through it. And he did. I'm doing all right. Relationships, intimate relationships. That's a huge one, okay? Especially when we're getting to know somebody. When it's in the beginning of that relationship, we're taking a big leap of faith. If it starts moving to more than a dating, into exclusivity, yeah, we're entering in a realm where we could be hurt, especially if we have been before in that situation. So this can be applied across the board. So taking that leap of faith, and by taking that leap of faith and walking through that, I start to build evidence, my own experience as evidence that I can trust this person, this thing, this institution, this God, something, okay? But sometimes, we gotta just do it. We have to just do it. Walking forward in the face of fear and trusting that God is going to walk with me through it is the best way to approach any situation that I'm scared of. And sitting there thinking about it and waiting for the right time, there is no right time. Okay, if you feel the nudge, that's the power greater than you saying it's time. Okay, if other people involved, you got to take into consideration their feelings, and if it's time, if they think it's time, you got to weigh that out. Okay, you got to take all these things into consideration. We can't tiptoe around and wait for the perfect time to do things, because that doesn't exist. We have to just do it, and sometimes that takes a very difficult leap of faith. That's all I got. Hope you all have a good rest of your weekend. I'll see you soon.